In this video, we'll be solving a quadratic equation by completing the square. Now what I'll do is I'll write the steps on the left side using the standard ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 equation. And then on the right side, I'll solve using the steps for this x squared plus 10x minus 20 equals 0. So our first step is if a is not equal to 1, divide both sides of the equation by a. Well, in this case, a is equal to 1, so we don't need to worry about this first step. The next step is to rewrite the equation so that c is on one side of the equation by itself. Now c is this last term in the trinomial, usually the constant. So I need to move the negative 20 to the right side of the equation, and I'll add 20 to both sides to do that. So I have x squared plus 10x equals positive 20 when I move it to the right side. My next step is to multiply the coefficient of x by 1/2, square this result, and then add this number to both sides of the equation. So my coefficient of x is 10. I want to multiply that number by 1/2. So 1/2 times 10 is 5. Then I need to square that result. So 5 squared is 25. And then I want to add this number to both sides of the equation. So I have x squared plus 10x plus 25. And then on the right side I have 20 plus 25. I call this step the half it squared added step. And you need this so that you can have a perfect square trinomial on the left side. Our next step is to factor the resulting trinomial as a perfect square and then combine like terms on the other side of the equation. So on this side of the equation, this is a perfect square trinomial now, and we know that it'll factor. You square root this first term to give you the first term of your binomial. You take the sign of the middle term, so we'll put a plus, and then the square root of 25 is 5. Then we also need to combine like terms on the other side of the equation. So 20 plus 25 is 45. My next step is to solve this equation using the square root property. The square root property says if you have a quantity squared on one side and a number on the other side, you can square root both sides. And this square rooting and this squaring are inverse operations. So you're left with just the x plus 5 on the left side. And then on the right side, remember, always whenever you square root both sides, you have to put plus or minus, and then we have square root of 45. Now I'm solving for x on this equation, so I need to isolate my x. I'll subtract 5 from both sides. These will cancel, and I have x is equal to, now here I have a rational number, and then this is an irrational number, so I can't combine those. I need to write them as separate terms. So I have negative 5 plus or minus square root of 45. The square root of 45 can be broken into the square root of 9 times the square root of 5. So I have negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 9 times square root of 5. We do this because we can square root this 9 and get 3, and that'll simplify that radical sum. So x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus square root of 9 is 3 square roots of 5.